From One of One Production Studios, broadcasting from NYC, you are listening to Unexpected Success with your host, Joy.
Hey guys, so welcome back to another episode of Unexpected Success with me, your host, Joy. Today I am extremely excited to have Amoy Pitters in the studio today. Hey, Amoy.
Hi. Thanks
for
having me.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here. So Amoy is like one of my, I'm super inspired by her. She also, I'm lucky enough to be able to call her a friend. And she is the CEO and founder of Amoy Couture Hair Salon on 60... in Lexington Avenue in Manhattan, and also the CEO and founder of Amoy Couture Hair Extensions. And we'll leave all the social media handles and everything. We'll highlight them.
Amoy Couture New York,
Okay.
Amoy Couture Hair Extensions, and Amoy Couture Hair Salon.
Okay, perfect. So we'll make sure we post all this on our social media so everyone can kind of take a look if you don't already know about her. But, so Amoy is a, celebrity hairstylist. And she doesn't like when people say that. But whenever we go out someplace, someone is approaching her like, hey, Amoy. And she's like, oh, hi. Like she's unaware of her reach. But she has definitely had some reach. So anyway, I just want to ask you some questions about how you got to where you are.
Sure.
Cool. So where are you from?
I was born in Jamaica, but I grew up in the Bronx.
Okay, not Jamaica, Queens.
No, Jamaica, the island.
Okay. Okay, and when did you come here?
I was like 2 years old when my parents decided to move here. They knew they wanted to move here, so my mom had 5 kids back to back.
Wow.
So we're all like 15 months apart.
Holy cow. Yeah, so I had mine 30 months apart, and I'm still not together.
Yeah.
So then did they come together? Like how did that
Well,
happen?
my dad came first, and then my mom came with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so you have 4 siblings.
Yes.
Wow. That's a lot.
I know.
And so you moved to, I know there's a specific area in the Bronx that has a lot of, they call it the Valley. Is that what is it called?
Yeah. Well, we were in the Northeast Bronx, close to White Plains Road. It is a big Jamaican community there.
Right.
Yeah, but the Valley's not too far from there. So
okay, so that is what it's called.
Yeah. So
okay.
that's all the Northeast Bronx.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And so you went to school, you did all of that. Like, how was your upbringing?
I mean, we had like a pretty stable household, not really strict parents, but hardworking Jamaican parents.
Right.
They come here to make a better life for themselves, for their children. So, we were sheltered, but at the same time, learned how to be street savvy.
Right.
When I told my parents I wanted to go to beauty school, they looked at me like I was out of my mind.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my mother was like, what kind of life are you going to have as a hairdresser?
Right.
Your brothers and sisters are in college.
I cannot wait to get to the end of this story.
So it was
what she
good.
did.
I had to, do well in school. It was like, no coming home with B's. So, I mean, I knew I was creative at a young age. Ever since I was 6, I knew I wanted to do hair.
And how did you know that you were creative?
I just did things differently.
Okay.
And I was kind of bored in class. All my creative classes like art, music, I was always excited to go to.
Okay.
But, in the other subjects, I did good because I felt like I had to, but I was bored.
You were bored. Okay.
And, just like having my dolls coloring, just anything that I really had to do with my hands, I was always good.
Yeah. And then so you realized you had magic hands.
Yes. And I got my Barbie. My father bought me this Barbie it was just the head with all this hair.
Right.
I'll never forget it for Christmas at 6.
Similar to like what you do in beauty school,
exactly. Right? So I was like, oh my God, this was like I had rollers. I was doing, so I was
cow.
like.
And how did your siblings react to it? So essentially what I'm trying to, so with this podcast, I like to really touch upon natural abilities and like how you knew what you were good at a young age.
I mean, I knew I was good at it, but I knew I loved being creative and doing hair, but as I got older and graduated from high school and I expressed that I wanted to go to beauty school, back then, being involved in the arts, your parents wanted you to just go to college. They worked hard for you to go to college. So no one really understood, like, why she want to go to beauty school?
Yeah, and people frown upon that kind of service work.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
So, I pretty much begged my parents. My father was like, I tried to sneak and get a loan. I couldn't do it because, I was still living at home. I was young. So my father
Well,
paid.
you tried to get a loan?
Yeah, I tried to get like
Oh,
some
my
kind
God.
of free money. I don't know, something without them knowing. So my dad ended up paying for the beauty school. And I remember the last thing he said to me was like, well, if you're going to do this, you better do it right.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to make you proud,
Right.
So going to beauty school was like 9 months. That was one of the best 9 months of my life because I was like living my life.
You loved it.
I loved it.
So you knew.
I knew. And when it was time to go on the floor and do the clinicals, I was always ready on time. Like I couldn't wait to do those little old ladies' hair,
Holy
the
cow.
little sets, get my little $2 tips, and
I love it.
So when I graduated from beauty school, they send you out to different salons. So there was a salon in the city that was hiring for an assistant. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go. I want to work in the city. I want to take the train and go to Manhattan every day.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I got the job. And it was just it opened my eyes to a lot.
So how old were you at this point?
I was like 19.
19 years old. So you're 19, you're going to the city every day, you're out of school, you're essentially, you're ready to start working.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And I loved it. I was there on time every day. I was just like, oh my God, I'm working.
So you're passionate. You're definitely passionate. So every day passionate.
Passionate. Loving it.
I'm so jealous of that.
And
I didn't
then
have any of that.
One day, as the assistant, you're doing, making sure everything is good in the salon, blah, 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 blah. So one day, the owner gave me a brush, and she was like, oh, you got to clean the bathroom. And I'm looking at her like, what? Clean the bathroom?
Whoa.
You crazy?
I know.
I was like, this ain't part of doing hair.
Right.
So I went home and I told my dad, and my dad was like, well, if you're an assistant in a salon and that's a part of the job description, either you do it or you quit. So I was like, oh, shit.
Right. So you quit?
I know. I cleaned the bathroom
Right.
the next day.
Which is the right answer.
You said
What
was the right
so that was the right answer.
Yeah.
Right.
Because as an assistant, that's a part of your job to make sure the salon is kept
Right.
together. But I didn't,
No,
I'm
of
looking at
course.
it all creative.
Now that you have your own salon, right? Now, do you have your assistants clean the bathroom?
Oh, yeah.
And how do they react?
They don't react. I guess, time changed because in the interview, I tell them that's a part of the job description.
Oh, you tell them out
Yes.
front. Right. So
You
they're not
got it.
surprised by it.
Right. So, so that just like totally mellowed me out a little bit. I was like, shit, I got to take this serious.
Right.
So, well, to make a long story short, the lady that owned the salon, she was from London. So this was a second salon for her in New York. And they did like a lot of extensions. Celebrities came through. Like my first celebrity that I did was Tashina Arnold.
Oh, I remember her. Yeah.
So
I shouldn't say it like that.
Flew to
I mean,
LA,
Tashina. Okay.
Right?
Right.
She was on Martin at the time.
Of course, right. She
So
was a
one
big
of
deal.
the top stylists that was working in that salon got a call to do her, and I was the assistant. So the lady was like, well, go with her, Amoy. So that was my first, oh my God, going to LA, working with a celebrity,
So you flew to LA, you
Yeah.
worked with your this was your first time.
Yes,
Okay.
as an assistant. So I was like, all right, this is good. And,
And again, so so just for the audience, so you found this opportunity through the business, through your beauty school?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And
All right.
and usually in the beauty school, they look at the students that are really passionate and they kind of send them out to the best salon.
Right.
So, thank God I was passionate.
And the messaging there also, right, is that had you not cleaned the bathroom and had you quit,
Right.
then you wouldn't have been on the plane
Exactly.
going to LA.
Right.
Right. And that's the jewel.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to working with Tashina Arnold, that was like, oh my God, like I could really work with someone that's on TV.
Right.
So make a long story short, the salon closed down. And that stylist moved on to do other things. She started doing the shows in Paris. And I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go. So I went back to the Bronx and I started renting a chair at a salon.
Right. Which is what most beauticians do, right?
Exactly. So I thought that was it for me. I was like, let me rent this little chair. A lot of the clients from that salon, they were paying premium to get their extensions done.
Yeah.
So they didn't have any place to go because the stylist, when she started traveling to Europe, the other guy, I don't know where he went. So they started coming to me. So
All the way in the Bronx.
Yes, because I knew
Wow.
the technique of this.
So when you would all right, so let me back up. So Amoy is your skill, and why you're so heavily sought after is the fact that you have a braiding technique for hair
yeah.
extensions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have magic hands, right?
Right.
And people will literally travel from different countries
Yes.
to come have these magic hands placed on their heads.
Yes.
And so, okay, so you had this technique, you knew you had it, and people were traveling to the Bronx too.
Yeah, and at 19, and back then charging $500 for a weave at that age, and you're paying $100 a week in
for
booth
your chair,
rental,
right? You're winning.
I was like, oh my God, this is crazy! I'm making so much money. Like I was loving it, and then make another long story short, the stylist that I was working with that started traveling to Paris, we kept in touch. So she was like, girl, you got to come back to the city. It's so much more money here for you to make. You're so much better than that. So I was like, I bounced around to a few salons in the Bronx. And I was like, all right, let me go back to the city. I rented a chair on West 4th Street. And one day another opportunity came up. She was like, I'm working in Paris. The lady is hiring. So you should assist her on a job.
In Paris?
She's coming to New York, so you should assist her on a job. So this job was like all the way out in the Hamptons. I've never been to the Hamptons.
Right.
This was at call time was at 6 o'clock in the morning. I think the Mario Testino was shooting it. Like he's a photographer.
No, Mario Testino was like everything.
Yeah. So and this lady Odile Gilbert, she's a white French woman. I don't even remember how I got to the Hamptons. I got somebody to drive me out there. I know I showed up like an hour before, half sleep, did my thing, and the lady was like, "Oh my God, I love you. I love working with you. You're amazing." And I was like, "Thanks." And she was like, "I want you to come to Paris next month to work with me."
Oh my God.
So I was like,
and you're 19.
Yeah, like I was 20 then.
Right.
So I was like, "Oh shit, okay, I'm going to Paris."
Right. Okay. So
I go to Paris. It's couture season, and she did like every couture show you could think of, from Dior, Hermes, Chanel, Givenchy, all the top houses this lady was doing. So I was, doing my thing. So this one particular show, the first show was Christian Dior. I met all the other stylists. Everybody was kind of older.
Yeah.
There was really nobody of color. So I was like a little like, shy.
Right.
I'm the youngest.
You're a standout.
I'm like
you
from
feel
the
a little
Bronx, and I'm like. So it just so happened that the look of the show was from the 20s, Salvador Dali. That was the look. And it was finger waves.
Oh, my gosh.
So, coming from the Bronx.
I could make a finger wave all day. What you need?
So I'm busting out all the finger wave wigs and blah, blah, blah. So the head lady, Odile, she noticed. She was like, oh, my God, you're really good at finger waves. So in the middle of the show, the day of the show, I was just busting out all my clients. I mean, I had people like Kate Moss, like all these supermodels.
People that,
yeah,
these are like
Stella Tennant, just like all these people that was in the show that I saw in magazines. Naomi Campbell, and I couldn't believe it. Like that was my first time, so I kept like saying to myself, like, "Shit, this is real."
Right.
She pulled me aside, so I was like, "Oh shit, I must have fucked up. I must have did something." She was like, "No, I want you to go and do the designer's hair."
Oh my goodness!
Because you're doing like the best finger waves. So, unbeknownst to me, the designer was John Galliano.
Oh my God! So, like this is like real. Like this is like actually real life. This is like real
life. Right. So I go to do John Galliano's hair at his apartment
just unbelievable, right? So at this point, wait, do you pinch yourself? Or are you just saying like?
No, I was just going with the flow. Like, okay, I'm going to do his hair. He just wants finger wave, but I did not realize that my life was about to change. I just thought I was going for this one time, and they're like, thank you did a good job, bye.
Right.
So to make a long story short, after that, he took his final bow. The photos was beautiful. And this was in the opera house in Paris. It was.
And there's like I shouldn't say there's no more beautiful building, but the opera house is definitely top 5.
So this was like, and everybody's saying, oh my God, like you got to do John's hair. That's a big deal. And I'm just like, I didn't really look at it.
But that's
like,
your attitude.
My job.
In general, listeners, Amoy's attitude about everything is, oh yeah. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I was just like, he wanted finger waves. Yeah. I had to do the best finger waves, right?
Exactly.
So to make a long story short, after that, it was a few more shows. So I did those shows with them. And at the end of the season, I was like, oh, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. And she was like, oh, no, you're coming back. And I was like, oh, okay. So the next season was Ready to Wear, which was in March.
Right. Now, what month was this?
This was in July.
Okay.
Couture, and the next Ready to Wear show was in March, was like a few months later. And I was like, oh my God. So she was like, I went back, I did my thing, and so just one thing led to another. And John Galliano, he really took a liking to me, and it was another show where he wanted these long extensions. So again, I went to do his extensions.
Right.
And he goes, after the show, he goes on vacation to relax. So he's good friends with Donatella Versace. They're on vacation in the south of France. And she was like, oh, my God, John, your hair grew so much.
Right.
And he was like, girl, these are extensions. And she was like, what? Extensions? What are you talking about? So she was like, well, who did them?
Wow.
And he was like, this girl on the deals team, Amoy. And she was like, give me her number.
Oh, my God. So this is Donatella.
Yeah. So I get back from Paris.
This is just stupid. This is just like stupid, right?
Yeah, it's like retarded. I get back from Paris. I get this phone call with this strong Italian accent. And I'm like, this woman is like, this is Donatella Versace. I need you in London.
Right, with this deep kind of raspy voice,
to do
right?
my hair. And I'm like, who's playing
Wait,
games
she needs you
with me?
when what?
She called me and was like, I need you in London tomorrow to do my hair. Because I have a show. But I was like, I'm in Virginia. I'm on vacation. She was like, oh, don't worry about it. Just let me know where you at. I'll just arrange everything. So like an hour later, there's this whole flight itinerary. I fly back to New York.
Stupid.
I go to the Bronx. The driver's waiting for me at the airport. I go to the driver's waiting for me to go inside my little apartment in the Bronx. I pack my luggage. The driver takes me to the airport. And he took me to Kennedy Airport, and I'm on the side of the airport that I've never seen in my life.
So you didn't even go to like central
Yeah.
I said central bookings. I've been to jail a few times. I haven't been in jail. I've been visiting people in jail. Sorry,
so
audience.
I was like,
you didn't go to the central hub, right?
Like, oh, okay. So the car stops. People open the door. Somebody takes my passport. They're taking my luggage, and I'm like, oh shit, where am I going? So I look around, and she flew me on the Concorde.
When the Concorde still existed. Oh.
She
my
flew
God.
me on the British Airways Concorde because I had to be in London in 4 hours to do these extensions for her so she could get ready.
That's just crazy, Amoy. Wait, I gotta take a sip of glass. I need a sip of wine for that. Wait, hold up.
So I'm in the lounge, and they have like telephones. So I'm like calling my mother. Oh my God! I see Catherine Zeta-Jones is sitting next, like in the lounge. Joan Collins, Simply Red, like all these fancy people, and I'm like sitting right next to them.
And you're like, 20.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And I'm like, oh shit. Like, this is
the real deal.
Yeah, and then I get on the plane, the pilot greet you, they give you the certificate, they sign their name, and, you get a silver pen. So I'm like, oh, okay. So, I thought the Concorde was like a glamorous, but it's more like a business plane.
Ah, okay.
So, but you get to London in 3 hours.
That's just stupid.
Like,
now, when you're in the Concorde, we discussed the Concorde because clearly, like,
my mind was blown.
85 to 90% of the population has never been on a Concorde, and there's no longer an option to be on a Concorde. So, can you tell us what that was like? Did you feel the speed of the plane?
I was just like, oh my God, we're like above. Like, I didn't ever feel it. It just feels like nothing. I didn't.
Doesn't feel anything.
Yeah,
that's just crazy.
I mean, it was just ridiculous. And I get off, I'm like, okay, I'm in London in 3 hours. This is retarded.
Right.
The driver picks me up. I go to meet Donatella, and I'm like, oh my God, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And I do her hair. She is so sweet. Well, she's definitely one of the best person I've ever worked with. The biggest heart.
Nice person.
She's so nice. And she invited me to stay for a few days to attend the show. And I'm like, I didn't bring anything to wear because I thought I was...
Come and do your hair and go back.
And then leaving. And she was like, oh, don't worry. Go to the Versace store.
And pick out what you want?
So I go to the Versace store.
That's just crazy.
And I'm like, there are like people waiting to pin me in a dress. And I'm just like, oh my God. This
is like Cinderella.
Yeah, it's definitely a Cinderella story. Crazy.
That's just outstanding.
And she invited me to stay in London for a few days, staying at the best hotel. I think it was like the Dorchester or one of those fancy hotels.
Yeah.
So that was like one of my first real celebrity
moments.
Yeah, moments.
So that's how you start.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. It's okay. So
and then getting paid obscene amount of money.
That's just the services.
At the time I didn't have an agent, so I called one of my friends that was already, going to Paris and doing the show and had an agent. So I was like, well, how much do I charge? And he was like, girl, this is Donatella. Hit her with a day rate. So I was like, what's the day rate? So when he told me, I was like, what? She ain't gonna pay me no $4,000 a day for
Right.
doing her hair. Are you
Right.
crazy? So he was like, no, tell her that's what your day rate is. And every day when I was in London, that's what she paid me, whether I was working or not.
Yo, Amoy, let me hold something.
I was like, oh my God.
No, that's crazy.
So that's how it all started.
So, all right. Now, for people sitting at home, listeners who are contemplating or always felt like beauticians only, it's chair rental and that's it. It's a
real business.
But this is what happens when passion meets reality. You knew that you were going to go for it. So what are your parents thinking at this point?
I mean, God bless my dad. He died. Thank God he was able to see me, have my salon and move on to do a lot of things. He was very proud.
He must have been so proud.
Yes, he was very proud. And my mom is very proud. And my brothers and sisters, they, and I felt like I had to prove a point to them that I wasn't just going to be around the way hairstylist. And I wanted more because my mother was very fashionable. I was always looking at the fashion magazines.
Right.
So I knew somebody was doing that hair, but I had no idea
that it was going to be
me around the world, and
right.
I would have made so much money.
So I think we're going to conclude this first episode because I think there's so much more left.
Yeah.
Right. Because I really want to tackle, some of the other people you've worked with, and you had a whole, I think a whole phase of Naomi Campbell, right? And we want to kind of talk about the Naomi Campbell phase and talk about what's happened then. So tune in, audience, for the next episode where we'll talk about all of these incredible stories and just really touch upon like what can happen when you follow your passion. So thanks for tuning in to another episode of Unexpected Success with Joy. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, YouTube, and Podbean. Please hit subscribe and leave a review once you've listened. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, keep winning.
Bye.
This podcast was brought to you by 23DB Productions, ID Productions, and One of One Productions. For more information, go to Facebook and Instagram, Unexpected Success with Joy.